Jaylen Brown goes off for 30. The Celtics win easy. It didn't look great, but it's not as bad as the numbers might show. It's right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Locked On Celtics pod, home of the winners. Big.
Welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where it is your team every day. Your team is the Boston Celtics, and I talk about them Monday through Friday, plus bonus podcasts when they play on weekends like they do this weekend. So make sure you're subscribed. It's available everywhere podcasts exist. It's on YouTube. Watch the show. Watch me here at TD Garden, up here at the Sports Museum on the 9th floor of TD Garden. It's a great place to visit and a great place to do a podcast after the Boston Celtics beat the Indiana Pacers. Later on, we're going to get into the just individual performances, how this was kind of like an everybody chipped in kind of game. The Pacers did their part in missing every shot. We'll talk about that. Jaylen Brown, great quote on free throws coming up in the second segment. We're going to start, though, with Jaylen Brown and Sam Hauser. Let's just go with Jaylen Brown's 30-point game, which is a great night for Jaylen. He started off slow, 2 of 8 at one point, and was not really finishing at the rim, was not really, it looked like it was going to be one of those kind of tough, inefficient nights for Jaylen. But he got it together. He ended up shooting pretty decent. Well, he ended up shooting 50% overall, so that's really good. 50% from 3 as well, which was just 1 of 2. So a nice 20 shots from 2-point land, 10 of 20 from 2. He kind of figured it out at the rim a little bit. He was, like I said, early on he was struggling, but then he got to 8 of 14 shooting inside the paint. Still would like to be a little bit better when you get in the paint, but overall, just a really great night for Jaylen. And just that constant attack, right? It was just keep going, keep pushing. And like I said, we'll get to the free throws later on, but Jaylen got to the line 9 times on top of everything. So it wasn't just the 22 shot attempts. It was getting to the line, really just a really big part, carrying the offense on a night where I don't think the offense was overly, fluid. They did a decent job attacking. When things were moving well, they got the ball inside. A lot of great dump offs to Neemias Queta, a lot of great dump offs to Luka Garza. Some of them were a little funky, but Jaylen attacking was a huge reason why the Celtics were able to get this and build this easy win. It was 18-18 early on. It looked like it was going to be a little bit of a back and forth game, just feeling things out. And not a criticism of the Celtics, because this essentially was a road game at home, right? They'd just gone out on the road. They'd spent, 8-9 days away from home. They come back, you drop your stuff off, you pack new stuff, you get to sleep in your own bed for 2 nights, and then off you go, back to back on Friday and Saturday in Brooklyn and Chicago. So this really was a sort of a road game where guys could drive to, is how it really measures out. And that makes it understandable for maybe some guys not to be shooting entirely great, or the feeling out of the game to take a little bit longer. So I really wasn't worried that the Celtics were kind of struggling early on with the shooting, but they eventually figured it out. They figured it out enough. And the guy who figured it out the most is Sam Hauser, who had 17 points on 5 of 7 shooting from 3, 6 of 8 overall. The 1 2-pointer that he hit was fantastic. It's funny because on press row, Gary Washburn turned to me and Jay King. He's like, that might be the best move I've ever seen Sam Hauser make. Guy closing out on him in the corner, up fake, spin move, dribble, stepping into a mid-range shot. That really was a spectacular move from Sam Hauser. And I'm going to channel Joe Mazzulla a little bit here and say Sam was not defined by just his scoring in this one. His passing, his defense, he had the whole thing going. He had 6 rebounds, 3 assists in this game. It was a really nice game from Hauser, but it's obviously with him, it's all about the shooting, right? 5 of 7. Hold on, let me get my box score here. 5 of 7 from 3. This was his 4th game this month. 4th game this month of 5 3-pointers or more. He has 8 all year long. So end of October is just basically a week. November, December, he had 4 games of 5 or more 3-pointers this month. And this is recording technically on January 22nd. So there's still another week plus of the month left. He's already had 4. So Hauser is he, first of all, he's shooting almost 50% from 3 this month. When he starts the season cold, you know that this is coming. And look, I know that the 3-point shot is inherently a high variance kind of shot, where the ball comes off your finger just an eighth of an inch the wrong way and it's a miss, right? So you do everything right. It feels good. And it just, maybe you had a little extra, maybe the momentum carries you a little bit forward more than whatever. So I know that that's going to be a shot that is prone to streakiness. I still would like to see Sam Hauser be just a little bit more consistent. You know, maybe instead of 48% in January, be like, all right, well, let's dial it down to 46, 45 and tack on that 3% somewhere where you were shooting 30-something%. Can we do that? Is that possible? But either way, every 3-point shooter is going to go through slumps, and I'm certainly not going to be overly critical of that. But I do think Sam just goes the pendulum goes just a little too much one way and a little too much the other way. At the end, he's going to be a 40% 3-point shooter. He's always been a 40% 3-point shooter. He's almost certainly going to be one for however long he stays in the NBA. Whenever he's not, might be when it's like, oh, okay, maybe it's time to hang it up. But I think he's been really, really good for the Celtics, doing more than just shooting. And it's funny, Joe Mazzulla will always praise Sam's and Anthony Simons' defense, no matter what the question, no matter who asks it. If you're asking a post-game question or pregame question, if you're asking Joe just in a scrum situation, a podium situation, hey, Sam Hauser, what shooting? Or Anthony Simons, man, that dude just dropped whatever in a quarter. Joe will not allow those guys to be simply defined by their offense, their shooting, or whatever. He has to throw in the other stuff. He has to throw in their defense. And I believe that's calculated. It's obvious. He wants these guys to be sure not to get caught up in that stuff. He wants them to hear all the other praise for the defense and the other stuff. And I think that is a great approach for Joe in the media. Sam, I think, has grown as a player. He's really grown as a guy who can do more. Jaylen Brown was talking about it after the game. A guy who can, obviously you're going to be afraid of the shot, and then you can deck it. You can attack the closeout. He had one really nice pass, I think, to Neemias Queta as one of the assists. Just when Sam has all those little other elements of the game going, the Celtics are going to be tough to beat because it's just one more guy. You can count on the other guys. And to have Sam be one of the guys that you're like, man, he's beating us off the dribble too, that's a big factor. Turnovers, the numbers are look worse than they actually are. I actually thought the Celtics, despite the numbers looking bad, I thought they protected the ball well. At least they did for long enough. I'll explain that when I come back. Today's show is brought to you by TurboTax. It is tax season, but that doesn't have to take over your life. This year, TurboTax is making it easier than ever to just hand things off and move on with your day. With TurboTax full service, you can have your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert, start to finish, without the stress and without the guesswork. Instead of spending hours trying to figure out forms, you can meet with a local TurboTax expert in person or connect online. They've got everything covered. If you're self-employed, they take care of that. If you got W-2s, they take care of that. They know what deductions that you're supposed to get. You can just upload your documents, go about your day, and get the updates right in the TurboTax app. It's a huge time saver, and you have peace of mind knowing an expert is doing it, and you don't have to go through, hours and hours and hours. For a limited time, you can get your taxes done by a local TurboTax expert for you for just $150 all in. If a TurboTax expert didn't file for you last year, just file by February 28th. Take taxes off your plate and get back to your life. Visit turbotax.com/local to book your appointment today. Thank you for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Thank you for making it the number one Celtics podcast in the world on the number one sports podcast network in the world. It's because you're an everydayer who's with me every Monday through Friday, who's with me on bonus podcasts. And I do appreciate that. I appreciate you sharing with your friends. That's really the most important thing. If you like what I've said, if you like a point that I've made, or if you want to argue with a point, hey, listen, I had the thing the other day about Jayson Tatum and the need to kind of like step aside and Jaylen Brown, let Jaylen Brown cook a little bit more. There are a lot of people who really don't like that take, and I've been arguing with people on Twitter all day. Fine. I'm not, this is not the time or space to relitigate that. But if you want to argue with me, share it with your friends, call me a moron, whatever you want to do, go ahead and do that. Just share the podcast and have fun. I want to spark a conversation sometimes, and hey, I'm not always right. Maybe I'm right about that. Maybe I'm wrong. Turnovers and free throws. Jaylen Brown, after the game, was asked about the free throws. Since his fine, he has taken 7, 12, 10, and tonight 9 free throws. So since taking 0 against the San Antonio Spurs, that's what he's gotten. And he said, yeah, maybe it was the fine. And, maybe it was. Maybe sometimes, listen, it happens all the time, right? You go back to like Phil Jackson days, and he would just completely blast the refs in a post game and get, all of a sudden the next day, like Michael Jordan got 20 free throws or whatever it is. Like there's like a history of that happening. So maybe Jaylen's right. Maybe it was the fine, but the Celtics got to the line a lot. And that was a big reason why they were able to build the lead. I think when I look at the numbers here, the final numbers look like if you look at the final box score only and you listen to what I'm saying, you're going to be like, John, what are you talking about? Free throws. You only took 2 more free throws than they did. And okay, so the Celtics were a +5. So what? Okay, well, look, first of all, 15-point win. Celtics were +5. They were equal in 3-pointers, even though the Celtics took 14 fewer. The Pacers, and I'll get to this in a second, didn't shoot well. But they were even in 3-pointers. The Celtics made 5 more 2-pointers, 10 points, 5 more free throws. There's your 15 points. But when they were building the lead early in the game, this is where I think the numbers really stand out. In the first half, the Celtics were 16 of 16 from the line, while the Pacers were 5 of 7. So the Celtics went into halftime up 20, and that's where they built this lead. The Pacers did a nice enough job at the end of the third quarter. You can say some of it was the Pacers making shots. Some of it was them getting to the free throw line themselves. Some of it was them turning the Celtics over finally to cut into the lead and getting it down to, I think it got down to 9 at one point. But the Celtics pushed back and got it back up to not quite 20. I think it was 18, and it settled at 15. So easy win for the Celtics, but you got to rewind all the way to the beginning where the Celtics went into halftime up 20, and you go, oh, well, this is where the free throws were really noticeable. 16 of 16, 5 of 7 for the Pacers, plus 11 from the free throw line. That's how the Celtics built a big lead. The turnovers. Now, again, if you just look at the box score at the end, and then you say, John, What are you talking about? The Celtics protected the ball. They had 16 turnovers for 19 Pacers points. The Pacers had 14 turnovers for 16 points. They had fewer turnovers. They had more points off turnovers. John, you moron. No, it's the first half when the Celtics built their 20-point lead and took complete control of this game. First quarter, 1 turnover for the Celtics for 3 points, while the Pacers had 5 for 7 points. In the second quarter, it was in the second quarter, the Celtics had 1 turnover for 3 points. I'm sorry. So the first quarter, they had 4 for 0 points. In the second one, they had 1 for 3 points. So at halftime, let me just say it this way. 5 turnovers at halftime for 3 Pacers points. They were +9. The Pacers had 8 turnovers for 12 points. The Celtics were +9 at halftime when they had a 20-point lead. The lead got up to 23, and then the Celtics started to turn the ball over, and then the Pacers started to get to the free throw line. So at the beginning, 5 turnovers for 3 points, that was the Celtics doing what they do best, protecting the ball. That's supposed to be a 10 turnover pace. So that's what I'm talking about when I say the numbers don't look as the numbers weren't as bad as they look at the end. Totally get it. Yes, 19 points they got sloppy, and that's how the Pacers made their run. It's when the Celtics stopped turning the ball over, stopped fouling, started rebounding, started getting back out, and were able to put together a 22-12 run in the middle of the fourth quarter, a nice sustained long run to take control back. There's a stretch where I was like, okay. And Jaylen Brown had just checked out. The offense kind of started to get really stagnant. They looked bad. That's when the turnovers started to pile up. So I'm not so worried about that necessarily. I think the Celtics maybe relaxed a little. I think without Jaylen Brown, they got a little discombobulated. He was really the best player by a mile in this game. And in the end, the final box score looks worse than it really was. This was a true, I think, full kind of team win to support Jaylen. It was Jaylen at the top, very top heavy, but that's only 30 points. The Celtics got up to 119. I'll get to all of that. Derrick White and Payton Pritchard kind of having another aberrant, like the type of games that they had scoring wise typically hurts the Celtics. They didn't this game. And then we'll get the Pacers perspective as they were ice cold. That's all coming up next. Today's show is brought to you by Quo. It's a new year. If you own a business, this is the time when you look at everything that you're doing and you say, how can we make this better? Streamlining it, having your communications all kind of streamlined, super quick upgrade. And that's why today's show is brought to you by Quo, spelled Quo. It's the smarter way to run your business communications, because when your team is reachable, important, organized, super important, communicating in one place, you're not just working cleaner, you're creating more opportunities to connect with customers. I know that when I call a company when I have a problem and 2 people tell me 2 different things, that drives me nuts. Your whole team on Quo can call and text from one shared business number so nothing gets missed. They all see the full conversation thread, which makes replies faster, more personal, and more accurate. And it's all right from your phone or your computer, so you can keep your existing number if you want. And their smart AI tools automatically log calls, summarize conversations, and highlight next steps. No details are slipping through the cracks with Quo. That's why it's the #1 rated business phone system on G2, trusted by more than 90,000 businesses, from solo operators to growing teams. So make this the year where no opportunity and no customer slips away. Try Quo for free. Plus, you get 20% off your first 6 months when you go to quo.com/LockedOnNBA. That's QUO.com/LockedOnNBA. Quo. No missed calls, no missed customers. Thank you for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. You, the everydayer who's with me every Monday through Friday. You want to join the Everydayer Club? $5 a month gets you ad-free audio compatible with all of your major podcasting apps. You get access to our Discord server. You get access to merchandise drops. It's all in one place at lockedonceltics.supercast.com, lockedonceltics.supercast.com. Check it out. If you want to pay upfront $50 for the year, you get 2 months free. So check that out. Join the Everydayer Club. All right. The Celtics were helped by the Indiana Pacers because the Indiana Pacers shot less than 40% from the field. They shot less than 30% from three, 26.7% to be exact. Each team made 12 3-pointers. It took the Celtics 31. Nice, 31. All of this, talk, the Celtics take so many 3-pointers. They've got a ton of 30 or so 3-point games. They're able to put up 119 on 88 shots. It's really nice. Free throws, obviously, 23 of 25. That does a great job there. Pacers took 45 3-pointers, only made 12. Life is a little bit different when Jay Huff is 0 for 3 from 3 versus, felt like 20 of 21 at one point in that last win. Obviously, Jaylen Brown didn't play in the loss to the Pacers, but Jay Huff held in check. That's nice. Pascal Siakam was not held in check, but his damage didn't hurt the Celtics. Hey, let's get the Pacers take from Tony East.
104 Celtics, 119 Pacers crushed once again by Boston. They're 1-3 again against them this season. It wasn't thanks to Pascal Siakam. He was awesome. 32 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists for him in this game. He continues to be a metronome for the Pacers. Every single game you can expect high points from him. He gets a lot of defensive attention, makes things happen for the Pacers. Nobody else stepping up and doing anything for them. Jarris Walker with 19 as their second leading scorer. Johnny Furphy with 10. That's it for the Pacers in double figures in this game. Their offense never really flowed outside of one little pocket maybe of the third quarter, and they couldn't stop Jaylen Brown, and the Celtics attack. Sam Hauser continues to be hot from deep. Pacers just a little disconnected right now. After winning 4 out of 5, they head out on the road. They had a game with a bunch of rest in Detroit and haven't really been able to get that flow back. Another blowout, this time at the hands of the Celtics. They're 10-35. We'll have much more on this game, and Siakam's brilliant season on Locked On Pacers.
Yeah, check out Locked On Pacers. It's always good to see the other person's perspective there. And it's 100% right, obviously. That little pocket in the third is what got the Pacers going. That's when they started to actually make a few 3-pointers. But the Celtics were able to kind of keep that in check. This was an interesting night for Payton Pritchard and Derrick White, who shot 4 of 12 for Pritchard, 4 of 10 for White. Combined for 23 points. They did manage to get into double digits in the fourth quarter. But for a lot of this game, the Celtics were putting up big points. Early in the third quarter, I was looking at it like the Celtics had 77 points with 7 minutes to go. And Pritchard and White were just non-existent offensively as far as scoring anyway. I was talking to some of the guys on press row, and we're like, this is the type of game where the Celtics, they normally kind of suck when these two guys are putting up these kinds of numbers. And the Celtics were kind of persevering through that and putting up, like I said, they put up 119 points. It's kind of right up where they are, their offensive rating. So this is the offense doing its job, and they were a part of it. They were the two biggest plus minus guys. Pritchard was a plus 26 in a 15-point win. White was a plus 18. And Pritchard, there was an interesting lineup. It was Pritchard, Shireman, Walsh, Garza, and Simons. And that lineup did all right. They had played 11 possessions together the entire season. And all of a sudden, there they are at the beginning of the second quarter. Interesting lineup, but there they were kind of helping push the pace. And Pritchard was a big part of that. He did have 8 assists in this game. So you can be a positive. Like White at the end was a big positive, getting to the free throw line, getting the rebounds, 5 assists for him. He just defensively always a menace. Even though he didn't have a block or a steal, just the overall performance from these two guys, they play well even when they don't shoot well some nights. So they were important parts of, especially in the later quarters. In the second quarter, helping the Celtics kind of build that 20-point lead. In the fourth quarter, rebuilding that lead back up to 18. So even though the scoring numbers weren't there for Payton or for Derrick, the rest was. Neemias Queta, 5 block shots, was incredible defensively. Again, a lot of dump offs there to him. You just being in the right place. Celtics have done such a good job of when the offense is flowing well and the defense is worried about the ball handler, Derrick White, Payton Pritchard, whoever, like Jaylen Brown. They are able to find Queta in spots where he can score, or he can make a pass and get the ball out into somebody's hands, and either it's a hockey assist or whatever. He's able to impact the game. Either his space that he creates with the roll. There are a lot of times where him rolling to the basket gets somebody going, oh crap, I got to go account for this guy, and the defense kind of forgets, like, oh well, I've left an important player because this guy is getting to the rim, and if they throw him the ball, he's going to dunk it. And now this other guy is getting wide open looks. So Queta's impact is important and noticeable, and he did a great job. The 5 blocks were huge. Some of them were monster blocks. And then, you get everybody off the only person who played in this game and didn't score was Amari Williams, who only played like less than 4 minutes. And so, okay, no points in 4 minutes. Not a big deal. Everyone else came in and scored. Simon's quiet night, but decent. Garza, 8 points, but a plus 13. Got to the free throw line, got fouled a bunch, had 3 offensive rebounds. Positive impact there. Nice finishing around the rim. Shireman, 2 of 4, 1 of 2 from 3. The 1 3 that he made was a no dip in the corner. He's really got that no dip 3-pointer down. Jordan Walsh, he had 1 block shot, and that was a monster block in the corner on a 3-point shot. But Jordan doing his defensive thing. I just like the way this team, you can just go to anybody here. Hugo Gonzalez comes in, had a great play, fighting for a loose ball, kicking it out to Jaylen, then relocating to the right around the break on the left side for a 3. That was just a really nice effort play. That's what Hugo does. The effort plays. He's not playing as much as he used to. I think some of it, he's a rookie, and he does have pro experience in Spain, obviously, but he's still a rookie, and this is a grind of every other game. Like, the one thing, the pro experience has done wonders, I think, for him in terms of maturity and the ability to, understand the game at a high level for a 19-year-old, and to not be afraid of a moment, because NBA atmospheres kind of don't even compare to some of the atmospheres that he's been in already in his career. But the one kind of drawback to the European pro is the schedule is very college-like. You're playing a couple of games a week maybe, and to go every other night and 3 games in 4 nights and back-to-backs, it can be a grind. And as young and energetic as he is, it can be tiring. So I think Ugo's feeling some of that as well. So overall, it wasn't like the prettiest game. It wasn't, but it was a solid game. It was a solid game, a really great performance from Jaylen Brown. Sam Hauser continues his role. Everybody's kind of doing their job really well. Maybe you don't shoot as great as you'd like, but you come in, you do the other things. Solid Celtics win, and they now go out to Brooklyn, who just got demolished by the New York Knicks. 50-plus point loss, which probably says as much. Like, the Knicks needed that win in that way, it was so important to them. So I don't know how they're going to react. The Nets are going to react, but the Celtics have to go out there. This is a tough stretch. Like, the schedule is not kind to the Celtics to come home, turn around, and go back out and play another game basically on the road. This is basically like a road game at home, like I said at the top. To go back out, this is a 3-4 situation. To play Brooklyn, to play Chicago, this is not an easy stretch at all. They're going to be dying for the All-Star break in a few weeks. So we'll see how it goes. Obviously, I got one more podcast this week before those games. Bonus podcast after the Brooklyn game. Bonus podcast after the Chicago game. So make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcast. Watch the show here on YouTube. And then I would love it if you shared the podcast. Tell everybody they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It is your team every day.